Hello friends, today I am demonstrating our different adhesives for you, and there are 5 different kinds of just the tape runners. I will be putting together a border showing you how they each are used. I will also be showing you tape chips and how those work. That way you know what's the best adhesive for your job that you're doing. I am actually going to be putting together a border just to demonstrate each of these using this Full of Love punch and the Wheatfield border punch. Both are currently available, so I thought that would be a fun one to do. To begin, I am going to take my base strip of paper and I am going to show you kind of how I'm going to trim that up to be kind of the bottom layer for my border, so to speak. So we are going to start out with this strip, which is 2.5 inches wide. Okay, so then I'm going to take this strip and I'm going to punch out my border. Now that I have my border punched out, I am going to trim this down and use this on top of the other strip I have. I'm going to want to grab my trimmer, and I think I'm going to put a little wave on there. So I really like decal. That's my favorite blade to use outside of the straight blade, obviously. It just gives it a nice little rough edge. So this one is my straight blade, and you just simply swap them out like that. So cool. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up probably about 1.5 inches or so, and I'm just gonna cut all the way down. And there I have this cool little layer there, just a different look. So say I want to make my border with a strip, but I had 2 different scraps, okay? But they equal 12 inches when I put them together. This is where tape chips are going to come in handy for me. So I'm going to flip these over on my page, or on my mat, and I'm going to put these together so that the line is pushed up against itself. That way you can see it doesn't really affect much if you line it up, butt it up really tight. Okay, and I'm going to take my tape chips, and these are awesome because they just peel off like stickers, and I am going to gently, without moving too much here, put them on this crease because I am rebuilding this piece of paper, so it is 12 inches because I need the full 12 inches for my strip. And you can be pretty generous with these when you're doing something like this. These is also great for putting mats back together and things like that. And as you can see, there's a little crease there, but we're gonna hide that with our border. So it's not really gonna matter at all. And these are really awesome. So when I go to stick this on a page too, I can also peel up the other side and it becomes 2-sided tape. So these are really nifty to have in your stash. They're great for kids because kids can, do projects with them without, taking your tape runner and going, so it doesn't use up so much. So these are really nifty to have in your stash. Next, the tape runner you're probably most familiar with is the regular tape runner, and this just comes in a clear little case like this, and you just slide it in there. I have different color cases that I have purchased over the years or acquired over the years, just to help sort my tape runners without having to switch them out constantly. However, you could get away with just having one case and just switching out the type you want to use. So for this one, it's just for your everyday sticking down kind of look. So I am going to take the strip that I had cut off of our wheat border, and I am going to stick this down like this. And this is just perfect for your everyday paper, things that are just, good size. And as you can see, it comes off in little segments as well. I'm going to use my cardboard here to kind of show you. You can do like one little segment. You can crank this little top here. That'll like bring more out. Like say I had a little segment and I was trying to dot and nothing was coming. I would crank this just a wee bit and I can get a segment. So that's what the little crank is for. So that is what regular is for, just for your everyday crafting, paper crafting, putting a scrapbook page together, things like that. So you'll definitely want this in your stash to use. Now say I'm working on my border here and I decide I want to add this little strip of paper just to add, a little more texture to underneath my Wheatfield punch. So this is pretty narrow. It's going to be hard to fit this tape runner, the regular tape runner, on there. You could like do the little dots, like the little segments, like I showed you before, like that, but that takes a while. So that is where mini tape runner comes in. And this one comes in a red sort of case when you pull it out of the refill. And this is great because it comes off in these teeny tiny little squares. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see very well, but these little segments here come off in that little segment. So, and this one you can also crank to keep it going. As you can see, they come off in little squares, or you can just run it, and it's just more of a narrow, you know, strip of adhesive, just like the regular, but just cut smaller. These are great for frames when you're gutting paper, because then you don't have to worry about it showing up on the other side of your paper when you set it down. If you've ever seen me gut paper in my videos, you know that that's one of go-to adhesive for those. So it also has a nice place, and as you can see, it sticks just as well. So that is a mini adhesive. I like to have this in my arsenal of tape runners as well, just because I need to pull it out for little strips like this. Next up, we have repositional tape runner, and this one is probably my favorite. One, it's, as the name suggests, it's repositional, and two, it just comes out in these little dots. So as you can see, this comes in more of a green look, thus I put it in the yellow case I had. And I'm going to go ahead and stick my wheat field on here, punch that I punched out. So you can see it's very tedious, like all these little wheat heads. It's going to be very difficult to use like a regular tape runner on, so I like to use a repositional. Now for this, I have a silicone mat that I use. That way it doesn't stick to the mat I'm on. But if you don't have a mat, a silicone mat, wax paper can also work. Or if you just do it on your regular mat, these little dots will stick to it, but they rub right off. So that's what's really cool, is they come off in dots, but you don't have to worry about it being there forever. Just rub it off right away. But the silicone mat keeps it from sticking at all. So I like to use my silicone mat with this, and it works really, really well. It does become permanent over time, so you want to make sure, you know, you remove it when you're working on it at that time. So as you can see, there's little dots that kind of come off, and like if I accidentally get some on my mat, it just rubs right off and then brush off, kind of like pencil eraser. So when I go to stick this down, it's just going to stick right on there like it would any other adhesive. I want to line this up kind of on top of that strip I just placed. And there we go. And there's our border so far. So much fun. This is one I highly recommend you having in your stash of stuff, because I reach for it all the time. Some people exclusively use repositional just because, like, say you make a mistake, you can just peel it right up and put it back down. So when I'm working on something super tedious, like a bunch of circles or a bunch of squares, I reach for this. That way I can move them if I need to without risking pulling up my paper. So this is great to have in your stash, and I highly, highly recommend it. In fact, the top two I recommend are this one and your regular. So definitely have this if you don't already use it. Now say you made a mistake and you're like, oh, I use regular tape runner, I need to pull this off. The multi-purpose tool is definitely great for that, because it has this little like spatula type end on it. And say like, oh, I don't want to use it on this background anymore, I just slide it under there, and you just kind of like gently shift it down, and it pulls it up, and nothing rips at all on your paper. It is pretty awesome. I love this tool, and it's great for when you're using little pieces. You can like gently push them down or whatever. So this is one you're going to want to, especially when working with adhesive, because it can pull things back up for you. Now, I wouldn't do this like 10 days later. I would just use this right away. If you have like a big chunk of paper you stuck down with a regular tape runner, you'll want to use this. Now, I have a piece of vellum here. This is from the last autumn collection that came out. It's no longer available because it was so hot, and people loved it so much with the autumn cottage collection. And I am going to punch out one of these full of love hearts. And as you can see, you get like the design that it calls for, but you also get all these little hearts that come out of it as well. So for this, I'm going to use my vellum tape runner. And this one's one I don't reach for as often, usually only when I use vellum, but I love having it on hand. This comes in like a blue case, just because it is one that I'm like, oh, I brought vellum to use. Did I bring my vellum tape runner? So I always keep this in my bag just to make sure I have it when I need it. So this is great because when you put it on the vellum, you can't really see it. It's one of the best, honestly, the best vellum tape runners I've ever used on the market. And so I'm going to take my silicone mat again, just because these are tedious little pieces. And I am just going to slide this on here. And as you can see, it's kind of a gooier look, right? So it's going to pull off. And I'm going to stick these little hearts everywhere. And you're just going to want to like kind of rub them a little bit to get all the look out of it. But honestly, like, it is crazy how much you can't see it. And this is like one of the gooier ones I was talking about. So you're going to have to crank it a little bit to get it going each time. And I'm just going to put my little hearts all over my border with this. And I love the vellum look because it's one that just creates kind of a different dynamic on your page or your border or your card or whatever. So that way you can just kind of have a different look. And you need the right tool to use vellum for sure. So this is one I highly recommend having, especially if you work with vellum or you have vellum in your stash. You're gonna need it at some point. That is vellum tape runner, and this is also a must-have in my opinion if you have vellum in your stash. If you don't use vellum a whole lot, you probably don't need it. So this one's a good one as well. Finally, we have Max Strength tape runner. Now this is a newer one I acquired, and it is exactly as the name says, it's max strength. So it's going to stick very hard. Now this is one you're going to use for like a school project or something other than probably scrapbooking, or maybe if you have those old like chip letters, you could use it for that because it's going to hold it on very tight, even tighter than regular. So I used it actually to do the covers of these travel journals. So the background paper, I use these have like a cardboard on the cover, and they're super cute. And I just use these to help stick the paper on there. Now you do not want to use this directly on paper. When you use it, you're going to put it on the harder thing. So if you're using chipboard letters, you're going to put it on the chipboard letters, not on the paper you're sticking it on, okay? Otherwise it'll rip your paper. So say I want to stick this little strip on my cardboard for a school project, or I'm doing something. It's going to come off also kind of gooey, as you can see. And you're just going to kind of stick it on there, and it is going to be stuck, okay? Like, it's not going to come off. There we go. And as it suggests, it is very sticky, and if I pull this up, it's going to rip. So we're not going to do that. But I actually just ran out, so this is perfect because I'm going to show you guys how you change this out. So to change it out, it's really easy. You just pull off the cover of this, pull out your leftover run out piece, and then you're going to pull out like whatever size you want to, or whatever type you want to use, and you're going to just slide it out of the box, and you're just going to put it right back in the way you took the other one out. There's these little notches. You're just going to set it in there, put it back on, and you're good to go again. So, and all of them work the same way. They all fit in every single one. And so you don't even have to worry about, oh, I need to put the orange one in the blue one. They're all the same exact size. So I just get different colors to help differentiate for myself. But you can do whatever you want with those. So that's a pretty nifty system they have for the tape runners. Finally, I am going to use foam squares to adhere these cute embellishments to my border for the finishing touch. So the foam squares are great because they come in a variety of sizes, as you can see, and you get a pack of 2 of them, like 2 full sheets like this, and all you have to do is peel them up. I'm actually first going to adhere this part like so, and then I want this part to kind of stick up off of my border just for a little more dimension. So I'm going to use these bigger ones actually, and I'm going to stick them on here, and then I'm going to peel off this piece. They work a lot like the tape chips, and then I'm going to place this on here like so. So as you can see, there's a little bit more standing up off the page there. So now, thanks to all of these awesome adhesives and all the jobs they do, I was able to make this super cute border that I'm going to add to a page. So tell me in the comments, which adhesive do you love the most, or which one do you want to try? I would love to hear. I hope this video was helpful for you in learning about all of the different adhesives and what they can do for your creations in your page. Thanks for joining me, guys.